Well, I grew up in Dublin, in sort of suburban middle class Dublin. But I remember at the age of 8 going over to London, where my grandfather, my father's father, was living, and he was sick in a nursing home, and it was the first time I'd ever met him. And when I walked in, he just looked up and he says, "Ah, another bleeding McCann," you know. And but we had brought in some whiskey and some cigarettes for him, and he hadn't seen those because he'd been in a nursing home for quite a while. And he put me up on the bed beside him. I sat beside him, and I can still to this day remember the smells of the room, of him, of his pajamas, the texture of the tobacco smoke in the room and everything like that. And the following week was a beautiful moment, just when I realised a lot of things about, even at the age of 8, about family and about connections. And I was surprised that I had this sort of history in my own blood, because he talked to me about the Irish Civil War, the War of Independence, and so on. And I went home, and the following week I had an essay to write, the person I most admire. Our teacher gave us one of these things, and of course I wrote about my grandfather. And I think sort of unconsciously that's when I decided I'd like to write. And then I read a lot of Dylan Thomas and listened to a lot of Dylan Thomas as I went along. And then I came at the age of 21 to the United States to sort of write the great novel. What a joke. And I sat down and bought a typewriter in Cape Cod and realised at the end of the summer, when just a few pages had sort of gone through the typewriter, that I didn't have the stories in me, that the stories weren't there. And what I did was I took a bicycle across the United States for the best part of 2 years. I did about 12,000 miles, and I went through 40-odd states, and different states of being, different states of feeling. And I stayed with Amish people, I stayed with poor black families in Carolina, I stayed with very wealthy families in antebellum homes in New Orleans, I worked as a ranch hand in Texas, I did bicycle mechanic in Colorado. And everywhere I went, I met all these people, and the uniform thing about what I discovered was that everybody had a story to tell. And because I was sort of traveling through their lives and not into their lives, they would sometimes reveal the most intimate of things about themselves, which sort of gave me the notion that I was carrying all these different stories and bringing them further along the road. And I think that was one of my my groundings, one of my educations, if you will, because I didn't go to university till I was about 26 or 27. But meeting all those people and hearing all those stories on the road was fantastic. And then after that I lived in Mexico, and I lived in Texas, and I lived in Japan with my wife for about 1.5 years. And then we moved back to Ireland, and then we went to New York, and I've been in New York now for the best part of 10 years. I can't believe I've been in one place for almost 10 years.